Alright guys, let's just get to it. I'm going to install a Suma server since I got to test something for myself. But I thought I'd put this video out in case you also need to install Suma or Suse Manager. Now, all you need is one ISO, and that's the SLES. I'm going to use the SLES12sp3 ISO, which I've already put on my Pixie boot. But it's just the same if you install it via an ISO that you download and you virtually upload it to your virtual CD drive or DVD drive. But I just wanted to show you the steps that I use. You can see that this is a small test. I got two CPUs, I've got 8 gig of memory, which is recommended. I got two hard drives. One virtual drive is for the operating system, and the other drive is going to be for var. It's /var/spacewalk, which is where all your RPMs get downloaded. So I put 80 gig there because I'm only going to mirror one set of repositories. Okay, so starting up. Alright, so I said I have a Pixie boot. So it's the same as if you had a CD. I'm just going to do it via the network. SLES12sp3, and I'm going to do a manual install. SLES12sp3 manual. So it's getting the kernel and it's getting the initRD that I have copied to my Pixie. Again, you won't have to see this if you've got the DVD drive or the DVD, the SLES12sp3 DVD. You're going to need two registration codes. You're going to need the registration code for your SLES12sp3, which is the operating system, and you'll also need a registration code for your Suse Manager. Basically, the setup is pretty simple. As I said, all of my operating system is going on the 60 gig drive, which is SDA, and my var spacewalk is going to have all of the 80 gigs for that, and it's going to be mounted over /var/spacewalk. Okay, pretty simple. You just agree to the license. Okay, now here is where you need your email and your registration code for your SLES12sp3. Alright, so I'm going to put in my email and my registration code for SLES12sp3. And then you'll get this offer if you want to get the updates repositories, which I always say yes, so that way it'll patch as it installs, which saves you time. Okay, so here you can select a whole bunch of extensions that you have access to with your registration code. So if I scroll down, you'll see Suse Manager down here. You can see Suse Manager 3. Suse Manager 3.0, 3.1, 3.2. So Suse Manager 3.2 is what I'm going to select. Suse Manager 3.2. Say next. You agree to that license. Okay, so here's where you put in the registration code for your Suse Manager. So again, you can get that from your sec.suse.com. If you log in with your credentials, you'll see the subscriptions you have, and underneath those subscriptions you should see a subscription for Suse Manager. You click on that and then you'll see your registration code. Okay, here you can add other things, but you can just skip it for now. Alright, so I usually use GNOME default. And this is where you can do the expert partitioner. As I said, I've got two drives, SDA and SDB. SDB is going to hold most of everything. by default it selects the bigger drive to put in your root directory and your home. So I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to delete this one, and then I'm going to go to the SDA drive, and you can see that it has let's see, it's got swap space and probably slash. Is probably from a previous time that I did this. I'm going to delete both so you can see me do it from scratch. Alright, so on my SDA, like I said, is a 60 gig drive. That's the one I'm going to put my slash and swap. So I'm going to add a partition, primary partition, and I'll just make this 2 gig. And then I'm going to say it's swap space. Swap, it looks good. Mount point, finish that. I'm going to add another one to hold everything else for my operating system. Primary partition. I'm going to do the maximum. I'm going to say next. And operating system. But RFS is good for slash or your root directory. And that's that. And then SDB, I'm going to add where all my Suse Manager packages are downloaded to and the database. Primary partition. I'm going to say maximum size. Data. Well, I'll put the operating system. And for Suse Manager, they recommend doing XFS because it's faster. And then I'm just going to type in var spacewalk. And finish that. And that's all you need. We accept that. Go to next. Let's put mountain time. Next. I'm going to skip this for now, just for time purposes. Then I'm going to put in put the password for root. Okay, so here it's kind of cool because you can see that on the software it's going to install down at the bottom. You should see Suse Manager here. So it's going to install all the packages that are required to make this a Suse Manager server. It's going to boot from grub 2, and the firewall, I'm going to disable it. Obviously you can do what you need to do for your environment. And SSH is enabled, which is what I want. KDump, I don't need KDump for this purpose, so I'm just going to disable KDump. It just makes the install quicker. And then I'm going to go down, and the system target, I don't need graphical, so I'm going to use text mode. And it's going to give you this warning because it selected the X11 packages to install, assuming that you were going to go with a graphical interface, but I'm not, so. And that should be it for here. And then I agree, and then I install. Sometimes this happens, but I think it's because my network sometimes not fast enough, so I'll just do a retry and it continues. And just so you know, Suse Manager comes with Salt also, so you also get a Salt Master if you know anything about Salt or ever wanted to play around with Salt but didn't want to go down and install it yourself. It comes with this. And Salt in itself it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of stuff in parallel to a lot of your clients, and registering your Suse Manager clients as Salt minions, it really improves the performance of Suse Manager. and it gives you a lot more capabilities than the old way of doing it over SSH. You've got basically it allows you to connect as an agent to the Suse Manager from your clients. Here I'm typing in hard disk so that it boots off the hard disk since it's already been installed. Okay, so let me log in. Okay. So you want a static IP, and your host name should be resolvable. So let me do yast LAN to configure the network. Okay, so Alt I to edit this. I want this to be a static IP, and 192.168.1.105, 255.255.0, and I'm going to put the host name as VM test Suma.suse2.com. And I go to host name, make sure that's set. VM test Suma and Suse2.com. Assign no. Set host name be DHCP. I'll put in my name server. 5. Suse2.com. Suse.com. And I'll just do the routing just to be sure. .192.168.1.1. My interface is ETH0. Let's see if that. CTL. Start. Oh. So hostname dash so exit out of here just to get everything back. Root. Okay, we're all good. And okay. Okay, the next thing that I do is I run yast Suma. You can tab, and then you should see some options here. Suse. For this purpose, I don't need to worry about that because I'm not gonna do a whole bunch of repositories, but maybe 100 gig of free space on var spacewalk would allowed me. It probably wouldn't have popped this up. So I'm gonna continue. We're gonna set it from the first time. Can do Alt N for next. I'll just leave that. Organization, test U, test IT. Just put Denver, Colorado, US, and the password here that you want, it's gonna this is for your certificates. Suse Manager, I'll leave that as is. Yeah, he was going to be pretty strict here. So I have to come up with a more secure password here. Try this one. Ugh. Get this, see if it lets me this time. Okay, so for this Suse Manager, I am going to connect to SEC, and this is where you put in your organizational. So if you log into sec.suse.com, under your subscriptions, you'll see a tab that is for your organization. You'll see a tab for organization credentials. So if you go to sec.suse.com and you log in with your credentials, you'll see in your subscriptions at the very top where it says dashboard, you'll see next to it says organization, and then in there you'll see a tab that says organization credentials, and that's what you will put in here. So I'm going to put mine in, and then that'll allow me to get all the repositories that I have access to. Okay, so once you put in your organization credentials, your username and password, there's a test button, and you can click on that to test it, and it'll try to write a file, and if it's successful, then you're good. I've already done that. It was a success, so now it's asking me if it wants me to start the setup process, and I'm going to say yes. And this takes a while. So one thing you want to notice is at the very top. At the very top up here where setup is running, please wait. That's what you want to watch out for. Yeah, so at the very top where it says setup is running, that's sometimes people get impatient and then they'll try to quit or abort before it's done. Just wait until that's completely done and it says it's finished at the top. Okay, you can see that it says setup is completed. That's what you want to wait for before you move on. And so I'm going to tab to next. And now you can access your GUI interface from, it tells you there. So you finish. Alright, I'm just going to reboot one last time to be sure everything starts up as it should. Okay, let's log in to see what it looks like now. There you go. So I'm going to do what it says and go up here and go to HTTPS, let's see, VM test Suma.suse2.com, and I haven't added that certificate, so I always add an exception here. You can install the certificate if you want to get rid of this, but for testing purposes I'm just gonna put an exception. Okay, and this is where you do the final setup. So I don't know, I'll call this test Suma, and create the for, I'll just put in admin. It's just complaining that I'm using too much of a simple password. Test at suse2.com. I'll just test. Let's see, first name. It makes you want to test tester. Okay, so now we can log in with our admin that we just created. We sign in. Okay, so now we've logged in with our admin ID for this organization. Let's take a look around. Let's see. One of the things that I look at is, first I go to admin and I go to the setup wizard, and here if you click on here, it'll show you organizational credentials that you typed in when you first set up Suse Manager, but the products is what you probably are mostly interested in, and these are all going to be varying based on the credentials that you, or the registration code that you have. So with this registration code, I've got access to some Red Hat repositories, and this is for our Suse Manager expansion support. Suse Manager can manage Red Hat servers, patch them just the same as any other Suse Manager or Suse client. Some things to look at it here. We've got, let's see, Suse Linux Server 15. We've got SAP, right? And if we go here, you can see that these are what the mandatory channels are here, and nothing's synced right now. Right. And that's pretty much it. What you want to do is you want to click on one of these, and then once you do, you can say add the product, and it'll sync up those repositories. Okay, so one of the things I did do is I didn't see all the repos that I was expecting, so I just ran a manager sync refresh, and it basically went out and figured out what repositories I have access to. One thing you can do is run manager sync and list. Let's see if it does a help, and probably give you, so we can run, oh dang it, so manager sync list, let's try channels. There you go. So that's how you install Suse Manager from start to finish, including your mirror credential. Alright, later on I'll make another video on showing you how to create a bootstrap script so that you can register your clients, assault clients. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching.